Good morning. It's a nice foggy morning in Rubyvale, and I've got a special treat for you all today. I met Mitch at the pub last Friday, and he's the son of Peter and Eileen Brown that run the Rubyvale Gem Gallery, and he's asked me if I'd like to go underground, and I said absolutely. So just with the on the Rubyvale Gem Gallery side of things, I believe this started way back in the 70s and the mine as well. And, if you want to get some beautiful, beautiful sapphires, of all budgets, and I mean all budgets, come here and have a look. I mean, it's an award-winning tourist destination. They've won plenty of awards. And it's just, the stones are amazing. I mean, we all dream of finding some of those. So they're all on display here. Actually, I'm sure not all of them are. I'm sure there's a few special ones that are somewhere else. But yeah, these guys send them all around the world, and they are world class. A lot of these sapphires coming out of this area and the New England area are actually taken overseas and sold on as Ceylon sapphires, but they're not. So you got princes and sheiks all around the world thinking they're wearing a Ceylon sapphire, and they're actually wearing a sapphire from right here, and quite likely from out of their mine. So here we go. I'm going underground. See you soon. Let's go meet Mitch. All right. Well, I'm here with Mitch inside the Gem Gallery, and he's going to show us a nice stone. So let's have a look at that.
So anyone that knows sapphires, a typical sapphire from these fields, we've got a lot of special stones that we find, of course. In our little collection here, we've got some really rare colours. On the whole, our blues do tend to be darker with a dark green cross table. This is an incredibly rare stone for us. We've got that sort of light cornflowery sort of lavender colour coming through. Got a bit of iron staining in the top, which is making that probably look a little bit more yellow there on camera than it really is. Pretty well just light blue on blue.
That is beautiful, isn't it? And that'll cut like a really light cornflower, will it?
Yeah, probably. It needs treating. You can see here, when I get that light on, we do, use a standard heat treatment on a lot of sapphire that has that sort of silky inclusion. If I don't make that too bright, you'll see how that's aligned in the crystallographic sort of direction of growth of the sapphire. And that does go in. We've polished a window on the side, and you can see how far that goes into the stone there. But it's light silk. It's got to be a really good stone to begin with for heat treating to do much in the way of enhancement. This is one of those extra special ones where it already is very light, and then it's only light silk. So we are likely to see a pretty good improvement in clarity on that, and it's likely to richen up the colour of the stone. So that's not enough silk. Anyone that's interested, that understands silk, we know that when there's enough of it and it's tightly packed, that's where you're going to get a star sapphire. There's nowhere near enough sheen in this stone to warrant making that a star. It's definitely a really good candidate for a low heat treatment, which is 1475 for us, which is the minimum to resorb rutile, which is these rutile needles, back into the crystal structure.
Okay, so it's finishing the process, the volcano didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially what's happened is that's come out of solution as this sapphire formed in an irregular way. So as this stone was crystallizing, and it was doing it in a way that took a very long time, those minerals, the rutile, wanted to come out of solution. It was able to sort of do that as an abundance of titanium. So it's titanium dioxide that wants to come out of solution and form those needles. When we heat it up, we're cooling it down over sort of 7 hours. It's much quicker than this happened in nature. So it just wants to stay put as opposed to coming back out as its own mineral, which is why standard heat treatment is classified as an acceptable treatment in the trade, is that you're not adding anything other than heat. We're not adding another element. We're not changing the atmosphere. It's just in air. We're not adding, making it a reducing environment or anything like that, even though that is acceptable as well. Our sapphires here, we just do it in air, in an oven, and we're likely to see a pretty good result from that. But,
and what's the weight of that stone?
This one's just under 12 carats. You can see it's an elongated hex, and it's got plenty of depth. So where that silk is heavy at the top, we're actually going to come down on that a little bit. We've got plenty to work with in the bottom, in the pavilion. So it's going to be a really good oval, a really good recovery on an oval. We'd love to sort of see 2.5 to 3 carats. Could be a bit less, probably more closer to 2, because there's a fair bit of wastage in that depth. Just that You know, it's deeper than we actually need it to be. But it just depends on how far, you know, some of those flaws around that top section sort of carry into the stone. So there's a few fine veils. We hold to a really high standard here, typically with the stones, that we, you know, cut our stones to be flawless. And when, you know, talking about silk, there's sometimes a little bit of silk left in stones that, you know, even the trained eye and the magnification is really hard to see, even after heat treatment.
Yep.
This one has a few fine veils that perhaps we will cut with it in it, because we won't be selling the stone. This is likely to be a stone that'll stay in our collection. So
Yes.
we'll just cut and keep those in for the sake of having a bigger stone. And that's where we're going to see the biggest change here in the next sort of 50 to 100 years, is we'll start to use more stones, or cutting stones with more flaws than we traditionally did. We cut our stone, we hold to a really high standard, but, you know, before Dad was still with us, he said the biggest change we're going to have is that, you know, what we used to do with grinding away so much good quality sapphire for the sake of having a perfectly clean stone. You know, the standard for sapphires around here is going to be, as they become more scarce especially, is that we can, you know, have a stone with the odd flaw in it, and it's not going to bother anyone. You can report it and just say, like they do with diamonds, it's you know, slight inclusion, or go a bit above eye clean. So,
Right.
I mean, our eye clean already is a lot higher standard than most people.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So.
And so, look, carat for carat, they vary so much in price.
Yeah.
I mean, something of that caliber, I mean, you know, you're talking about a pretty high carat.
I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, you could say the value would be in that it's also a light blue sapphire from these fields. So if you were to stack it up against some of the nicest blue sapphires found in the world, you'd say, right, there's some pretty high prices on some of the Ceylon stones and things like that, and some of that value comes with origin. It would be probably more valuable to a collector of Australian sapphires. They would appreciate that that's an incredibly rare stone for these fields.
Absolutely,
If you were to just go on the open market and compare some of the nicest stones overseas, then you'd probably still be talking about a couple of $1,000 a carat.
Yeah.
But it's still a 2-carat stone. It's still a stone that you're going to see a bit of in Sri Lanka. But as you can see in our little private collection here, it's, you know, some of the blue sapphires we have here stack up against some of the finest blue sapphires in the world. But on the whole, we do tend to be the darker blue. So.
Yeah, so you've got some incredible stuff in here. Is it okay if I film it?
Yeah, sure.
You sure?
Yeah.
So
some of these are just, I mean, just to manage people's expectations when they come out here digging, we point out that, you know, my father mined here for over 45 years and has built this incredible business and legacy around, you know, mining and cutting and retailing Australian sapphires. But these big sapphires here in the middle, even he didn't find any of these. You know, these are stones. This is a once in a couple of lifetimes kind of chance of finding. So they're all local sapphires from these fields.
yeah.
Some we're able to purchase in the rough, and some we just hold here on consignment for their owners. So,
Wow, they're amazing, aren't they?
and Dad cut all of them, of course.
Your dad cut those?
Cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a freeform triangle there. And then, of course, a big, deep square cushion with that yellow there.
It's beautiful.
We love the cushion cut, so you'll see that rectangular cushion cut there is pretty special.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a yellow like that. I did find a very small yellow, and it almost looks fluorescent yellow. Have you seen those iridescent? Yeah, but it's so small. It's only about maybe a carat. Yeah. But I want to find a big one of those. Well, thanks for that, Mitch. I appreciate that.
Yep.
This has been great. This is a dream come true. We're going to go underground. Is that right, Mitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mitch is going to take me down. He's a pretty busy man, so we'll get this done quick.
Sure.
Thanks, Mitch. So we might just have a look around the gem gallery here and just have a look in some of the cabinets and see what we've got. There we go. There's some nice stones in there. Beautiful. Look at the blue in that one for 2.5. That's just gorgeous. Love that. Nice. I want to get a green one. That's what I want to get. Beautiful. Nice. Beautiful stuff. There you go. I did see a ring I liked. The design of was pretty. I think it was over here. Yeah, I like the design of that one for 3.5. That is nice. Looks like white gold, possibly platinum. Not sure. Very pretty. Over here we have a display, and that would be Peter, who started all this back in the 70s, 1974, I believe. I think he turned up here in a VW Beetle and started digging. Eventually got a mine, and obviously built, well, as you can see, an award-winning gallery. Amazing. Awards everywhere. Fabulous stuff. Just look at that stone for 3.5. Beautiful. Yeah, so lots of awards. And I like that triangular cabochon. Beautiful. I think we're just about ready to go. But they do have a cafe here and make some beautiful food. What a shop. This is great. Can't wait to get underground. See you soon. Right, so we're out at the mine, and so this is your wash plant behind me here.
Yep.
Is that right, Mitch?
Yep. So they're all pretty much, scaled up versions of what you'll see around the place. We're on the larger end of what most people, for miners that are mining underground around here. So this is a pretty decent plant, decent sort of, half cubic metre bucket.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fairly big upgrade from Dad's original little plant from when he was digging with a jackhammer and wheelbarrow and shovel. So
Yeah, right.
we can move, on a good day's mining, sort of 5 to 10 cubic metres.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's a fair amount of dirt.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can come away with nothing with that much digging. We're digging some pretty marginal country up here that the old timers had sort of got the best of. So, we're able to move a decent amount, but that's still plenty of days where we're not getting a cutter or something like that. We'll find sapphire every day.
Every day, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot of low grade in that. So.
Yeah.
But then we get onto a patch that, the old timers didn't quite get to. So,
Okay.
So we're digging right up in amongst these trees up here towards the end of our claim. And Dad dug extensively here for over 20 years on these claims. So we're not going to be too long before we've got some other claims in the area. We'll be moving this rig on and going on to a different area. But for now it's good, and we're busy this time of year anyway in town. So we don't plan on moving it anytime soon. But in the summer, we get onto those projects when it's a bit quieter around.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Cheers, mate. That's great.
Program.
Okay. All right, so there's the hole. That's where we're going down. And I've got my stack hat, and we're ready to go. Thanks, Mitch. Cheers, mate.
A couple of metres down here.
Yeah. Mitch is heading down the hole, and there's the hole. All right. My turn.
Original part of the mine that Dad dug.
Oh, yeah, that's the original part.
Yeah, so that's all just, little tunnels. So he was 5'8". So, he's taking the majority of the washers on the floor.
Yeah.
But you can see we've propped around the collars of the shaft, and we've propped around these sort of old-timer shafts. You can see the dirt there, the difference.
Yeah, so is that the wash into there, or?
Yeah, so this is all wash here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you an area down the back where it's a bit clearer.
Yep.
But all through here, it's just a massive Dad's tunnels.
Yeah.
So there's probably over a kilometre easy of these old workings.
Oh, really? Yeah, right.
But all along the claim, we've got shafts from the old timers. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a family up on the back of the hill here that dug here. He had 11 kids and worked here pretty extensively. But there was a couple of miners up here in the early days. So.
Yeah.
But it was left for a long time. Dad was able to come up here and peg these in the 70s. Not too many people were interested in these claims.
Yeah.
You go up back at Bedford Hill now, it's just a massive claims, So we've got a couple of 100 metre by 100 metres. Most people are working off all those little 30 metre by 100 metre claims.
Yeah.
We're just going to go down here. I'm just going to show you the rich area. You can see the wash through here was pretty solid. That's all backstow. So that's all old timer stuff there.
Right.
So you can you see a little bit of it here, where you can clearly see the billies and everything on the floor.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So this is our decomposed granite schist bottom. So that's the bottom of the riverbed.
Okay.
And everything along that is sapphire bearing wash. But you can see how quickly it goes from gravelly wash. You've got all your basalt and quartz and everything else, and all your heavy concentrates, banal and sapphire. But then you know, you've got a lens of sand here and then more wash again. So we've got wash right up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
But it starts to be a little less rocky and a little bit, you know, finer material, so lighter material. So doesn't tend to be a lot of sapphire in it, but every now and then one will pop out of it. So you can see that old timers tunnel there. So if we go down here, you can see the difference in the dirt. Let me just see if I can grab the light. That's a shaft there, and they've tunneled out, and they've sort of belled out, and that's a little prop, a timber prop there.
So it's an old prop they used, yeah?
Yep. And then
okay.
And all through here is just, that's all coming in. That's all our workings along there. So
Right, so you're working this now, or
no, this is all old. We've come out of here. So as soon as we come up to the old timers tunnel, we tend to just turn around. So you can see the size of these billies on the floor.
Oh wow. Yeah, they're massive.
Yep. And then back here, we've got a couple more. It gives you a good idea of the strength and power of this flow. It's you know, it's moving these massive rocks. We've just left these here.
Yeah.
And there's these huge rocks.
Just to give you some scale, that's these are massive. Yeah. And so they're getting pushed along at the floods.
That's right. So you can see here's some big chunks of decomposed basalt. So all this blue stuff is basalt. So
okay.
you know, the two big trains have thought about the you know, how sapphires came to be in this alluvial wash. We know it's been brought up from deeper than the Earth's crust by volcanic activity, by this basalt magma. So we call it a basalt source sapphire. But it's you know this some of this material is pretty sharp. It hasn't travelled that far. So there's you know very localised sort of eruptions that have deposited this material out into the countryside and then concentrated in these runs through erosion and flooding. So they've either you know they've eroded out of that basalt slowly over millions of years, or they've been deposited individually and concentrated along with it. So,
right.
You know, you get 30 geologists in a room, you get 30 different opinions without sort of the huge resource that warrants a lot of exploration and study. There's a lot of sort of different opinions about how that came to be.
Right.
At the end of the day, they were concentrated in these alluvial runs that we're digging now, and we're trying to sort of follow this. It's not like you're following. People get a little tied up with, oh, I've got a little gully or a river this way. We had one major direction of the run, and then amongst that, sort of differing sort of from the topography of the time, some gutters and banks and things that we're trying to sort of, you know, hit sapphire. But at the end of the day, you're trying to move as much dirt as you can as safely as possible.
Yeah.
Because there could be sapphire anywhere across here.
Right. It certainly looks different to my wash. Wish it was like this. And so, what do you get? Can I ask how many carat you average per ton, or is it hard to say?
No, we don't really ever measure it out like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'll show you this. So this is the main shaft for our big wash plant up top. So we have a mechanised wheelbarrow. So we'll dump a whole load of dirt into that bucket. So that's a half cubic metre going up each time. So that's a fully one-man operation. We can engage that winch just from here, and then it disengages as it comes over the top of the up and over, and comes back down. So
right, so it lifts all that.
Yeah, so we can keep an eye on everything here. So we've got our main chute there with the grizzly, and then we've got our chute here going into the trommel. Keep an eye on the pulsator, that water's bouncing up and down, and we've still got water, that we don't have a blockage here in the trommel or anything like that. So,
right, yeah.
And we can vibrate the screen. So you can see that if we've got rocks stuck up on the grizzly, we can vibrate those off to make sure there's more dirt coming down the bin.
Okay. So for every load you're watching that screen, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll check that, load it up and send it up. Make sure that we don't have any blockages or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. This is awesome. So this is where we're going now, is where you're digging.
Yeah. So this is where, that special blue came from this stuff here.
Oh,
you can see how far away we are, like how much digging we've been doing.
Yeah.
I'll just show you in here, because this is where I was doing a bit more hand. We left a few areas, and I've just come back with the jackhammer and wheelbarrow, and just tried to sort of feel out a few more spots, because it didn't pay that well up to here, and we left a huge pillar here, but we thought before we move on to another claim, we'll just come poke along and see what else we can get. So you can see that wash there. It's not that full of different sort of conglomerate. It's a bit sparse, a bit sandy. But right just to your right here is an old time sharp. So
all of
they
this
may have just put that down.
Jesus, crumbly, isn't it?
Well, that's the backfill. Yeah, That's not
that's the
original.
backfill.
Yeah, you can see that's an old shaft. So,
Oh, okay.
So they'd put that down and didn't warrant going off and digging. They'd hit nothing really on the bottom.
Right.
So they just packed up and went off and
Yeah.
again somewhere else. So you can see all along here.
That's an old dig in there. Yeah.
That's probably the other side of that shaft.
Oh, okay.
You can see the change in the floor. We've just come up from being down in the gutter, and we're coming up now into a big bank. You can see the massive jump up there in the floor.
Yeah.
So we're moving a lot of floor.
So that's
Nothing in it. That's that bottom. That's the bottom. There's nothing in that at all.
Nothing.
Nothing below this.
Yes. Okay. Right.
And as you come up here and see like.
Oh, you see the layers there.
You see like that's the floor. That's the wash above it, and that's not particularly rich there. There's a reasonable mix of stuff in there, but not a huge amount of decent rock.
Yeah.
So it's a bit light on. But there's still basalt there. There's probably still a few sapphires, but.
Right.
And this is a big long drive we put in where we just went off each side to sort of see what was happening.
Oh yeah, got the fan going for air.
Yeah. We're a bit further away from our shafts down here, so it's nice to push a bit of air around.
Wow, I'd get lost down here in a heartbeat.
So we've got another shaft here,
Oh yeah.
and so we hit a patch just along here, and that's where that little blue came out of.
Oh yeah.
I was showing you before.
Yep.
And then yeah, as we've come into here, inevitably we've hit all Thomas tunnels.
Another shaft. Yeah.
So.
You can see the change in the colour,
Yeah.
can't you? Like.
Well, you know that's backfill.
So
Yeah, just be a
this
little
is-
careful around there. So this will be pretty much it in this direction. So all along here, you can see the backfill there.
Ah yeah.
Yep.
Down
so
in there.
they've done pretty. Looks like someone's pulled a bit of timber out from somewhere. So it must have been another timber prop. You
Okay.
can see there's a shaft there. We dug this by hand in here,
Right.
just to sort of keep a tight little tunnel.
Yep.
And then we came in with a digger from the other direction. We got a few nice stones, but yeah, that's pretty much it now.
Right.
There's no point in digging much further into here. It'd be just too dangerous. So,
Right. So I heard that once it's all been undermined, you're allowed to bring the excavators in to make it safe again. Is that true? You can.
no, not particularly true. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to find too many places where you're going to let a big digger come in from the top in
Okay.
our area. So
Okay.
part of what we're doing is looking at backfilling our tunnels.
Right.
We've there's sort of a big project that Dad wanted to get underway was to we've done all the hard work and exploration already, all this tunnelling that we've done, and plenty of places where we didn't find sapphire. But when we have, we've left a pillar. Just say back here, we've left this for roof support, and all through here, there's plenty of dirt we've left behind to hold the roof up.
Yeah.
We're not propping much of this.
No.
It's only around the collars of shafts and some old tunnels here and there, but we're leaving sapphire in these pillars.
Right.
Stands to reason if we found them right here, then they're there and they're there as well.
You
So,
dig it out, yeah.
yeah, so the idea is to be able to do an accurate survey where we know what was rich, and then come down and backfill this in layers.
Ah,
and let
yes.
this take up. The most important thing, it doesn't have to be setting that hard. We want it to be flowable enough to get in and then set up and really fill up and support the roof. And we want to be able to come back through and take out the rich pillars. So,
Okay, very
so we've
good.
invested in a big agitator, a big concrete truck, and we're going to be trying to work on sort of different batching of our processed material up on the surface.
Yep.
Getting the minimum size rock for the diameter of pipe and all that right.
Yep.
And then, really doing an accurate survey of this whole area and getting that material back down. And
So you're going to
Yeah.
pump fill it, are you?
yeah, well, gravity fill most of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll just be a matter of choosing the right places to drill holes. So
And how do you determine that from under here?
what we're going to do, hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll be able to get a decent 3D survey done as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
you come down here, map the whole mine,
Yeah.
and we could also just shoot in where the floor is along the whole mine, and then get a really accurate picture
Oh, yeah,
of the
3D
bottom of the riverbed.
Of layers, yeah.
So just as useful information, and maybe to something that we can show the public as a way of them better visualising what we're doing here. You talk to people about mining underground. The first question is, do you get better sapphire if you go deeper? And how, it's sort of hard for them to imagine that it's all just, this was the surface at that time. 70 million years ago.
Yeah.
And this is the subsequent sedimentation that's been layered upon here.
Right.
Where your digging is at the surface, it's a little bit different. They're the sort of ridges that were left behind, and we're sort of a little bit different here on the hill again. So, sort of something that we can map that out and show people a visual representation of what was actually going on, which is pretty exciting. But Also, it's probably still a little way at the moment.
Mm.
We are setting up our business potentially for our kids. We didn't think that we would come home and do this, but we always had the bug.
Yeah.
And come back and doing it now, and then potentially our kids and their kids will have something to mine if we can do something like this in a in a manner that is safe for one, but then, the sapphires are only getting more scarce.
Absolutely.
And it's going to warrant coming back and taking this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're getting, they're going up in value, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. So this is an adapted little, what we call our breaker from the opal fields. So we've always had this on our permit and been allowed to do it, but it is a point of contention with some of the miners that some are allowed to have them and some aren't. But yeah, for now it's all good with the mines department, and Dad worked up.
Yeah,
digging at the surface, going underground, learning from the old timers, going in with a jackhammer. It was a health and safety thing. He had RSI in his shoulder blade, so it got to a point where he just couldn't physically do it anymore.
Yeah.
And we're also just mining such marginal ground around here and we're scaling up our business and being able to move enough dirt to find the odd sapphire. We have to move a fair amount.
Absolutely. I could use that out of Washpool.
Yeah, there'll be a few people that like to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
That's, in the old days when they were first talking about, blocking off those areas for bossing and all that, some of the machinery miners went in there and just pinched a lot of dirt.
Oh, really?
There's stories of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. So, we can do that safely under here. And we've still got, a bit more to go on this claim, but it won't be too long before we'll have to move on. So.
Yeah, okay.
That's about it.
That's fantastic, Mitch. I can't believe you brought me down here, and man, I don't think too many guys have got a video like this. I hope it's clear.
You can always jump on. There's a couple of documentaries. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Well, so we're heading back. I'd get completely lost down here. It's just amazing. Check it out. Look at this. You could turn it into a hotel accommodation down here, Mitch. Make some rooms.
Yeah, I'd have to shore it up a fair bit more before we do that.
You have to put chicken wire on the walls. They'd be digging them out, mate. I would.
Yeah.
I heard there's a big ballroom somewhere and they had a wedding downstairs underneath in one of them.
All right. Yeah, there's a few wild stories of people. Well, we know people too that have, they're new to the fields. They buy a claim and they go down and they're just sort of hanging out in these areas. See, what's really important, if you look at our drives, that we're supporting the roof. The temptation when people get on a good wash is go, right, I'm just going to dig all that wash out. And they end up with these huge sort of rooms and caves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing holding that roof up. So
yeah,
you've got to be really careful about keeping the sort of ratio of your height and width.
Yes.
Where you're supporting the roof.
So see this part here, Mitch, this looks like it's sort of cracking away there.
Fall down, yeah, so we had some other diggings on the other side of here.
Yep.
But this would be the kind of area where, you wouldn't ideally sort of spend too much time.
No, okay.
It's just sort of a big wide area.
Yep.
The majority of it, if you look down here, you can see just how tight we keep that.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously an arch.
But there are guys that have gone in underground and just sort of clean the whole thing out, and then you'll end up eventually seeing subsidence from that on the surface. Over the years, it just starts to come in. So it's obviously not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about us, mate. So.
Thanks, Mitch. Well, that's
You're welcome.
One hell of a tour. Unbelievable. Thanks again to Mitch and the Ruby Vale Gem Gallery. Get down there and buy some beautiful sapphires. I'm going up the chute now and out for a dig, and hopefully I'll find my own. Cheerio. And keep swinging your pick. Alright, so I'll just grab a bit of the area we're at. We've just come up from underground. That's the old trommel there. And I believe Tim's son's mine is over there. Mitch is just going up to turn off some lights. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Excuse me. This is the environment we're in. It's pretty dry and beautiful, full of sapphires. So yeah, just sort of show you a bit of that. Yeah, what a treat, what a privilege, to get down there Sorry about the footage, I'm still learning how to do all this. But yeah, that's amazing. You know, I can't believe. Oh, this is a bit of a nice backdrop. Look at that. Yeah, I can't believe I had this honour and privilege with Mitch. This is incredible. Mitch, by the way, does all my heat treating. So if you've got any stones that need heat treating, they do it at the Ruby Vale Gem Gallery. And yeah, he won't cook something if it doesn't need it. He's real good. All right, guys. Cheerio.